Hey, Jennifer, good morning. Good morning. We are here with some friends of ours, right, for Income by Design. And we just got back off of a Freedom Forum cruise that was some amazing folks looking to do some amazing things in real estate. And so we had some real estate investors that have done many deals over many years. And then we have some that haven't even done their first deal, which is super exciting because everybody is on a different level in their journey in their real estate business. Some were real estate agents, some were loan officers, some were business owners. Some were W-2, right? They are professionals and they've been in their business for over 20 years. And we're just like, hey, I've done that. It's ready to turn the page. And, how do I build wealth? Some of them were retired. Some of them came out of retirement back into the real estate business, which is really cool. And so, that was what was your favorite part of Freedom Forum on the cruise?
My favorite part, I would say, like many others, is the hot seats. I think
Mm.
people really have epiphanies when they have the opportunity to be seen and talk out some of those things that have been in their head for a while and just need some clarity from the rest of the group.
I love that. Like you get the wisdom of a community, and it's kind of hard, sometimes having the courage to get outside of your comfort zone,
Mhm.
to verbalize and articulate something that you're stuck in, and then being open and having a safe place that was created for other real estate professionals, entrepreneurs, business owners that have probably had the same experiences and overcame those or maybe still overcoming those, right? And so we learn from each other in our community. So I really love the hot seat too, although sometimes I can tell you I've been in the hot seat many of times, and it's like you don't really want to go there, but you need to be there, and then after you get finished there's like a weight that's lifted,
Mhm.
because you have some clarity, some next steps. And the fun part is when you actually go take those next steps and then you come back and go, oh my gosh, you get to share, what those wins are. So
Yeah,
I love
love
that.
that.
Love that. So today we want to go over, when we went on the cruise, we actually have a deal that came about as we were going on the cruise. And we work and we play and we build a life by design, as you say, an income by design. So we can go on a cruise for 5, 6 days, and we can work, we can play, we can grow, and close some deals, right? And so today we're going to go over a deal, and I think it's really super valuable, or those have shared with us it's very valuable when we kind of go and break that down. So I know that you and I have committed in 2026 to be able to share more about the real deals that come about, like from a real estate. If you're a real estate agent, if you're a loan officer, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a real estate investor, like there are deals out there that you may not know that are there. It's usually you just have to say a no. And so with Income by Design, you and I have committed to say, how can we bless you? How can we deliver these scenarios over and over, so we can kind of have that clarity when there's an obstacle, there's an opportunity, right? And we get to, oh, here, look, we get to see with that a new pair of lens, right, Jennifer?
Mhm.
Like there's a blue ocean out there that we didn't even know that existed. I love these glasses.
I
Tori
do.
did a great job, and Jesse being able to make these happen. And so I love it when I get to see with a new pair of lens. I think about it like, have you ever, like, Jennifer, what color is your car?
Which one?
Which one? Okay, so the car that you're driving now, so
It's red,
it's red, okay? And then what color was your car before this one?
brown.
Brown. Okay. So when you got a red car, which was a few years back. You had gotten into a car accident. Praise God that you're okay and you're safe, and you had to get in a car quickly, to transport you from one place to the other. And as in the real estate professional, that's super important. But I'm sure when you got that car, like, did you start seeing all these red cars now?
Yes.
Yeah, and so when you had a brown car, you probably saw more brown cars, but
Correct.
you didn't even know that there was so many red cars out there. And so it's kind of funny is once you have seen that, you can't like unsee it, right? It's there. And so that's what we're going to help you to do is to be able to see with a new pair of lens, right? So you can see that blue ocean and be able to close more deals that you already have in your database, um,
Mhm.
that you already have in front of you. And I don't care if you are in your W-2 job, there are people in your circle, there are people in your life that, have gone through some circumstances. You're not human if you don't, right, Jennifer? Like, we just have to live life on life's terms. And so, like, Jennifer and I serve on the board with NAMI, National Alliance on Mental Illness. And so, there's a lot of caregivers that are giving their time and energy, and sometimes it creates some ripple effects, and so they need solutions, whether it be in housing or referrals. And so I think as real estate professionals, that's what we have the opportunity to do. So we'll go ahead and get into the scenario. We're just going to take you through the journey and give you the story of how we had this deal come about, what it looks like, and we're going to break this apart, and kind of dissect this. Now, what I will tell you is you're going to have a lot of questions. So when you watch this, you're going to have a lot of questions. We encourage you, put it in the chat, or put it in the comments, I should say. And then we also have realized that there's a lot of opportunities, but you may have additional questions. So I'll just tell you proactively, Jennifer and I committed to put on our calendar, for a Ask Us Anything. And we're going to take about 30 minutes once a week and show up live. And you can show up too, or you can proactively send your questions in, and then we will cover those, because we just know when there's a real deal, a scenario, a story, we learn through that experience. And so I'll go ahead and kick us off, and then Jennifer will chime in, to be able to know what we have. So we have a real estate. Let's see. This one is, I'm going to be really careful with names because we want to protect everybody's name. So I'll use like Betty Buyer. I'll use Sally the seller. We'll use Robbie the realtor, just making sure that everybody's protected. So specifically, this is a real estate investor that was new to investing, and she did all the right things. She hired a coach, and they found the property, they rehabbed the property, found a real estate professional, an agent, to be able to list the house, for sale so they can have a return on their investment. And, the market, we can't control the market. Sometimes we do the best we can with hiring the community and the coach and the mentors that, it was not us. It was not us, full disclosure, not us. Um, and so they went through the process and now listed it on the market, and it wasn't moving very fast. And so you have a price point, that amazing job. But in that market, this is in Texas, right, Jennifer? In Texas?
Yes.
Yeah.
Texas. Yep.
Yeah. And so in that market where they listed it, the only thing that the realtor had to say is, we just need to drop the price, right? Because it wasn't moving. And so for us, we're creative investors, right? We have solutions. So if it's a residential mortgage, if it is a creative financing opportunity, if we need to buy the house for them, do a rent to own lease option, we're going to get into those things. But there's other tools in our tool belt that it's not just a traditional sale. So just because you have a house on the market, and dropping the price is not the only option. So what we did is we talked with the interviewed brought us all together as a team. We had the real estate professional, we had the real estate investor, and all kind of come together and did some brainstorming. And this real estate agent wasn't really marketing creatively, like if we talk about that blue ocean, right? So we're going to see with a new pair of lens. So in the blue ocean, there's buyers who cannot buy, right? And then there's buyers who can. And so in that respect, the marketing that the real estate agent can do is lease option, lease with an option to buy. Now, normally in a lease option, you're like, this house. Well, normally a real estate agent wouldn't even get paid a commission if that seller did a lease with an option, a rent to own. But this is where it's a little bit different, right? You're going to see with a new pair of lens, guys. So it is any house on the market. Now, she happens to have this house, right? So, any house on the market. So, what I did is I was like, hey, maybe there's some buyers out there that don't fit in the traditional type of lending, buyers who cannot buy, right? But they have 10% or greater for a down payment. They can afford to purchase the home. They can afford, but they just don't, maybe their credit isn't where it needs to be, or maybe they are a business owner, right? Maybe they had a loved one in their family that they had to be a caregiver and be off work for a while, and they just need 1 to 2 to 3 years in order to be able to purchase. Well, if we market to those families and let them know that there is a different program, a different way, then you then are in the blue ocean, right? Because what's the percentage, Jennifer, of folks that don't fit the traditional type of mortgage?
Yeah, so that number keeps getting larger because of some of the guidelines that change. So, if 100% of the people that are looking to get a mortgage to move into a home own, they say only 35%, which leaves 65%, 35% actually qualify. So 65% of the people that want to get a mortgage today are disqualified. And it's not necessarily because they don't, like you said, not because they don't make income, not because they're not capable. It's sometimes just a life challenge. Maybe they're a 1099 employee and they write everything off. Maybe they're a business owner and they take all of it, reinvest back into their company, and they're taking a small W 2 amount and paying themselves dividends at the end of the year. So it makes it a little, maybe they're behind on filing their taxes for certain reasons. And sometimes it is a credit issue, and that credit issue isn't because they necessarily chose to, I'm just choosing not to pay my bills, right? It usually there's something that happened along the way that interrupted their normal life, and they just need a break, right? Because now they're back on track. And so, what does that look like?
So perfect. Exactly. So when we know that there's families out there that we have a solution for, it doesn't have to fit the traditional bank box, they're unbankable. Well, then we have other investors or capital partners or other families that want to help, and they're trying to, maybe they're in their W-2 job and they want to build wealth and they want to help people and make an impact and have a monthly cash flow and not have to take care of the property, not have to find the property, not have to rehab the property, not have to do all of those things, but they want to be able to have an income. We call those hybrid investors. And so those are our capital partners that we teach and coach and train, and they want to be able to build wealth and a legacy for their family, but they don't have to do all the things in real estate. So for this particular circumstance, we have a property that is on the market that the real estate agent wants to drop the price, which it really isn't the best thing for the investor, but the market is the market, what it is. So what is another solution? And so there are people out there that are looking and needing for someone to come alongside of them and to help them and give them a chance. They want to buy a house. They really want to buy a house, and they have money to put down. but they just, they're stuck, whatever's holding them back. And so for us, we help our real estate partners and our real estate agents learn how to market to a different, with a different lens, right? But to different folks. Remember, Jennifer, you said there were like 65, 68% of our population do not fit inside of a bank box. Well, who are working with those folks, right?
Right.
They don't even know. And so real estate agents have no other real estate agents, right? Other real estate agents have buyers who cannot buy. Well, what do they do with them? They just say, well, you got to get credit repair. Well, you got to wait 2 years. Oh, you filed a bankruptcy. Oh, you got to wait 2, 3 years. Oh, you had a foreclosure. Got to wait 3 years. Well, you don't get any commission at that. Zero. You don't even feel good. Like the buyer is not feeling good, right? Because they can't buy and they're stuck. And then the real estate agent, they can't serve them. And, yeah, we'll be around 3 years from now. But here's the big deal. So when you have knowledge, right, of that blue ocean, and you know how to be able to help those families that are needing that, then more buyers come to you. So now you have a property that is listed, that the only thing that you knew was to drop the price. But if you knew how to market to your real estate agent, loan officers have a lot of families that come to them and they have to deny them. And that's not fun or fair, but it's the rules and they have to follow the rules. So if real estate agents are already doing really good business with their loan officers, they're already doing really good business with their referral partners, other real estate agents in their office, in their community, and then they're already, have worked with a lot of families. Well, then they have a past database. They have loan officers. They have other people like insurance agents. Insurance agents, if the deal goes south, right? The insurance agents don't win. They don't get to close. So they have no, policies that are in place, and so no commissions. And so it's those people that are really have a heart to serve and they're looking for solutions. So the obstacle is the opportunity. And so for this, we are educating that real estate agent that wants to be able to serve in a mighty way. And it's just a simple little, hey, you know of anyone that this would be a good fit for? Now, this week we talk about a particular property, but with Unbankable, it's any property, any home on the market.
Yep. And the realtors also, depending, it's state by state, right? Because depending on who your local association is, whether it's, county, city, town, literally every state has different guidelines. So please, please, please check your guidelines. But generally speaking, when you're doing a listing, you have some other options. And as a seller, you have the opportunity to decide. So this investor has the opportunity to decide what forms of payment they're willing to take. So FHA, cash, VA, conventional, and then usually, again, depending on the state, they call it different things. There's some options also of lease option or seller financing. Well, most people don't look or check that box. And a lot of times it's because the seller is not necessarily given the option or doesn't know what that looks like. In this particular case, this is an investor. So this investor is very well aware of what unbankable or a lease option is, and they would be willing to do that. So those extra little check marks make it great. So when it goes into the MLS as a listing and you have people who are searching specifically for that type of financing, those will show up. So if it's marketed correctly by the realtor, again, you're correct. They need to contact their lenders because they know who they have in their database and their insurance people and things like that. They also have the opportunity to market it specifically for that kind of an option of financing.
Yeah, so there, when you talk about marketing, that's my jam. You can have an open house that is very intentional and specific to lease option. You can do all the normal things as a real estate agent, real estate professional that has a marketing plan. And in your marketing plan, that you are working with real estate investors, right? And you getting business over and over and over, then it is extremely valuable that you have multiple layers, multiple ways to be able to market that property that sets you apart, puts you in a blue ocean, right? Because
Mhm.
why does investors like us want to work with you as a real estate agent? How are you going to do things different? Or I could go to any real estate agent and they're all going to be the same. What's different about you? And how are you going to help me if the market, when the market changes? What are you going to do differently so I have more buyers, more opportunity, more creative ways? So if something in an investor side of things, if something goes south, we need multiple option one, option two, option three. And in all of those ways, if you are a real estate agent and you are listing this property, then when you're working with amazing like real estate investors, you're going to get compensated. So, there is a way, and having that knowledge of what that looks like sets you apart. So there
Mhm.
are some real estate agents that do not really, they don't want to work with investors, and then there's some real estate agents that would love to work with investors. Well, when you work with investors, there's a lingo, there's a knowledge, there's a mindset, there's different things that you need to be aware of and be mindful that is a little bit different. So this investor is a mama, and she has a full-time job, and she needs someone in her corner that is going to represent her in a way that it's not going to um, it, real estate is a risk, and we can't get rid of the risk. But when you have plan A, B, C, and D, then it really, really makes a difference. So if she needed to do a lease option and a real estate agent that has listed that property, well, okay, y'all spent money and time. You took pictures and photos and videos and time and the open house and all of the things that you have to do as a business owner to be able to do real estate, right? And so you want to have a return on your investment. Well, that
Mhm.
real estate investor wants a return on their investment. So when you marry the two and you have a community that you build a team, and when you run into this and the only solution you have is drop the price, that I'm not really sure that you're getting a good return on your investment if that's the only tool that you have in your toolbox is to drop the price, right? And so for me, I was like, oh, well, you just market a little bit differently. You have lease option. You put a sign on the yard, put a little writer, ask about lease option. Jennifer, you mentioned an MLS, and wherever you are in your state, talk with your broker. I'm not a broker, so I'm not advising you. But whatever the rules are, there's usually a little box there that is going to attract different types of buyers because other real estate agents, other real estate professionals, other people are looking for that type of financing, that type of option, alternative ways. And then you bring more buyers in, not just dropping the price. Now, there's many, 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 I'm not going to get into it, but there's many different ways that you can market. I will tell you one. Jennifer and I call this free 99. And so now in Marketplace, and I'm sure you're all familiar with Marketplace, I just literally went in there, created now I'm not a real estate agent. Jennifer is a licensed real estate agent here in Mississippi. I do own a brokerage, but I am not a licensed real estate agent. And so for me, I went into Marketplace, free 99, didn't cost me anything. And I positioned a program, which is a lease with an option to buy. I positioned a program in that local area. I would say from that one free 99, I have probably gotten at least 6 to 10 inquiries. Now, from one specific inquiry, we're going to hit on that one, and so, and I'll kind of bring us through, and then Jennifer, you spoke with her. So basically, I went into Marketplace, I posted as a program, it came into my messenger, in Marketplace. I answered her and we booked a call. That was it. The buyer looking to buy. Now, Jennifer, when that call was booked, you called her, you had to leave a message, and then we followed back up and she says, yes, I'd love to be able to get on a call and for a solution. So can you tell me a little bit about how that phone call went?
Yeah, so she's in a unique situation. She currently owns a home. She went through a nasty divorce. The home is too large for her. She really wants to start over again after the divorce, so mentally she needs to remove herself from the house, but also the house is too big. So she is on the deed, but not on the loan. And the lender going through the divorce had some scenarios of things that they suggested she did to make sure that things ended up in the right place at the end of the divorce. So they told her not to make payments so that she could intentionally do a bankruptcy and a foreclosure to transfer. It's been 11 months. That didn't happen. The lender wasn't able to do all that. So she has the right to sell the house, but because of what she was told to do, obviously that affected her credit. So she can pull it out of bankruptcy, but and she's been paying a good amount to the bankruptcy attorney monthly. So she has really good income. Prior to this, she had great credit. So she was given directions and followed what she was supposed to do, and now she can't buy a new house. Now she has money, right? And she'll have more money when she sells this house because she has some equity.
Mm-hmm.
She wants to downsize. We know she's very capable of making monthly payments and has a really good job. So her credit is the issue, but not because she just woke up and said, I don't want to pay my bills, right? She was directed to do a certain thing, which she did, which now put her in this negative situation.
Yeah,
So,
and it was stemmed by a life event, right? And we have to live life on life's terms. You'll hear me say that a lot. And she didn't cause that. Whatever happened, she just has, she's following professionals in a way that she felt like it would result in the outcome. And that outcome was different than what she expected. And now she's here and she's looking for real estate professionals to help her to say, what are my options? So from that Marketplace free 99, didn't cost me a thing, took me less than 5 minutes, was posted out there. She saw the ad as a lease with an option. You picked up the phone, you called her, you're talking through that. Well, what I heard you say is she has a house she needs to sell.
yep,
Okay, well, you're not in the state that that is in right now,
no,
but you do hold a real estate license. And if you had a team that is that are real estate professionals that are investor friendly, that understand kind of who we are and what we do, and I'm sure that you could pick up the phone and call that real estate agent that that understands that there's a blue ocean out there and you just got a call from a buyer who wants to buy and needs to sell, has money, is going to have more money, and just needs somebody to walk alongside of her and say, hey, what can we do? So I don't know about you guys, but I heard referral to a real estate agent. Okay, well, Jennifer, you win. That if somebody called you today, Jennifer, and said, "Hey, I've got a referral for you to list a house that's, I don't know, 400,000. Would you be interested in listing that house? Oh, and by the way, they're going to buy another house, and they have money, and we already have them qualified because they're an unbankable buyer. We have a bankable buyer. They're going to buy it for them, give them 1 to 3 years, and you're going to get your full commission. Would you like those calls? Right. Right. And so that was, something that it was like a wow moment. And we talk about income
Well, they will get their full commission, even though if they're purchasing with a creative. But as a realtor and a professional, when I'm passing that person over and I find that realtor, I am going to ask for a referral fee.
Oh, 100%, right? And vice versa, right? So if your real estate partner who you have relationships with, they know who you are, and they are ready to go back and forth, they're going to send you referrals when you're in Mississippi because you know what you're doing here. And that one happens to be in Texas, y'all. So then you have a Texas. So when your Texas realtor sends it to Mississippi, she's going to get a referral or he's going to get a referral, right? And then when you send that over, it's going to be vice versa, right? So you didn't have to open doors, you didn't have to list the property, but you have a trusted team with boots on the ground that is able to help this mama, right? That went through a divorce, she's been through enough, and now she doesn't know what to do with this property. So basically, it's just a solution based, opportunity. And how can we make this a win 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 for everyone? So, okay, not every real
And
estate
if
agent.
that realtor's really good,
Hmm.
she can take the listing for the investor.
Right, right,
You got a
because
listing, you
hmm
got a buyer, you and you got the buyer that needs to sell.
hmm
So there's three components right there.
right. Now, okay, so say from the free 99, we have the call. Now we have potential a listing, three sides of it, right? And then your hybrid investor, we call them capital partners, hybrid investor, they're going to want to buy the house, right? And so, in order to buy the house, they're going to leverage normally with a DSCR loan. Well,
Correct.
Jennifer, do you know how to actually process a DSCR loan?
No, I
No.
have a team.
You have a team behind you. So your hybrid investor who knows you, likes you, trusts you, that you're out there in a blue ocean, right, with all of your team that knows what they're doing. They're staying in their lane. They're doing all the things. And now you have a buyer and you can pick up the phone and call, I don't know, Harry, the hybrid investor, and say, Harry, I got a mama. Here's the deal. We have a team, boots on the ground. Everything is ready to go. Here's the story. She's putting 10%, 20%. Sometimes we got folks that put $100,000. Who knows how much money they're going to get, right? And she only needs about 3 years. And so she's found her and her real estate agent. They're ready to go shopping. They're going to find any home on the market, that is available, right? Now, just so happen, this is a house that we have. If you remember in the beginning, this is a house that we have. So that's why Jennifer says three. That is needs to be listed because we have an investor that needs a solution, and so we have the investor that is listing the property, right, from Robbie the realtor, and then we have the tenant buyer is what we call them, right? So we have a buyer that can't buy, we call them a tenant buyer, that wants to buy this particular house that Robbie the realtor, right, is going to have the ability to list. And Harry, the hybrid investor, it gets a little bit sticky, y'all. Flow with me. Harry, the hybrid investor who can buy, is going to get a DSCR loan, which Jennifer says, hey, I have a team. So she has the ability to be able to send that to her team because Harry, the hybrid investor who has a W-2 job, who doesn't want to find the property, look at the property, rehab the property, do any of that. So now you got this investor over here that just rehabbed the property. Then you got this investor over here says, hey, I'll be able to help Betty buy her out. So you got some whole bunch of really fun things in a blue ocean where we play, and you just created multiple streams of income. Now, I'll say this too, on a realtor side, any of our real estate partners We teach and coach and train them how to get paid just like Jennifer on a DSCR loan without having to do the heavy lifting. Okay, I want you to hear me. You have the opportunity to be able to have an income just as well. And not only on the DSCR loans, but if Betty Buyer, when she is ready, okay, 3 years from now, 2 years from now, Betty's going to be all back where she needs to be. She's going to be outside of this divorce. She's going to be outside, back on her feet. Her credit's going to be better, and she's going to need a regular traditional loan. Well, Jennifer, do you know how to do traditional FHA, conventional, or VA loans? Do you know how to process all that stuff?
Nope, but I do have a team.
Yes. And then do you have compliance wise? Do you have the ability to be compensated on that?
100%.
Now, if you were just a regular real estate agent and you were sending it to 123, lending team, right?
Mhm.
You would send over potentially the name, the phone number, just the basic informations of what they were looking to do. And, you would even love it if you had a little app to be able to enter that in, right? Just to send it to them, what you do, you know, and as a co-branded partner, if you're not even most folks, right, want to do things a little digitally to make it super easy. Pen and paper is great, but a lot of times just share it. They fill it out 8 to 10 minutes and send it over, and your team calls them, right? And happens to be Lynette on our team, right? And Lynette calls and says, hey, Betty, my name is Lynette. Nice to meet you. Thank you for filling out this application. Looks like we have everything ready for you. I have a pre-qualification. Your interest rate's going to be estimated at this. Your payment's going to be this, and you're going to need about this much out of pocket. And we've got everything ready for you. This is a refinance, or this is a purchase, or whatever the case may be. Then they're just going to let you know, right, Jennifer? Ready to go shopping.
Ready to go shopping.
And when you do that, and they go shopping, and you write the contract, and you let Lynette know that, hey, I wrote the contract, here's the contract. Oh, by the way, we need to close in 30 days. I went ahead and selected, here's the title company that we're going to be using. And then, we'd like to close on a Monday at 3 o'clock, right? So that's what you would normally do, right? Now, do you still do that and get an additional compensation for that?
100%.
Can you do that in Mississippi?
Yes.
Can you do that in Texas?
Yes.
Can you do it in Florida?
Yes.
Arizona?
Yes.
All 50 states, right? So anywhere that you want to have a Betty Buyer on a free 99 that calls you up and says, hey, I need help because I went through a divorce. I have a property that I need to sell. I need a property that I need to purchase. And I've already found a house that blah, 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 blah. So many, 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 many different scenarios, right? Anytime that you get that call, you have the ability to refer it to another real estate agent and get a referral fee. You have the ability, if it's your traditional mortgage, to refer that over with a loan that you would be compensated on, right? So that's paid one, paid two, right? Commission one, commission two. Really cool. Then if they need to sell a house, you'd probably refer that too. So now you get the buyer side and you get the listing side. And I'm sure that real estate agents working with you love it. Because when you call them, you've already got everything done, because it's not you doing it, it's your whole entire team that you have behind you. So you don't have to know how to do, FHA loans or VA loans or whatever. You have a team for that. You don't have to know how to do a DSCR loan or fix and flip loan, and you don't have to know how to do the bridge loans. And I mean, if you needed to do an RV park, could you do that?
We can.
What about, like, oh my gosh, the other day, a mobile home parks, an investor asked me to do mobile home. Oh, you can. Okay. Do you have to know how to do all that lending?
No, thank goodness.
Right. Because you have a team behind you. But you're able to have that communication, and I'm sure maybe it's listed. Maybe there's a referral that comes with that, So there's all types of things that you have that you've put into place and that you have spent your 30 years in real estate investing in your education, investing in yourself, putting the right people in your circle, and you have now wanting to bring more people in your circle because you're swimming in this blue ocean, right? You're fishing in this blue ocean, and you've got to be able to give it to all these people. But if you can't see what we see, then we're not a good fit.
Mhm.
So with that scenario that we just talked about, y'all, this investor, love her, right? She is actually firing her real estate agent. Her real estate agent actually said, I don't want to do this listing because you won't reduce the price. Well, we have buyers who just we just put out there for free 99 that would love to be able to come in and buyer after buyer after buyer after buyer, right? It's really simple. And then we have buyers who cannot buy and buyers who can. So Jennifer, do you love helping real estate investors invest in real estate and have immediate cash flow? And we didn't even mention this part though, right? Do you want to tell them?
Go for it.
Okay. So just say that you have it under contract for 400,000 and your hybrid investor who does it has a DSCR loan and they have a cash flow of say I don't know, like maybe 850 a month, right? So they have immediate tenant in place that wants to take care of the home as their own. They picked it out. This is like, oh my gosh, like you are the hero because now they get to pick their own home. They want to paint it purple, they can paint it purple, right? Now, this is they have no ownership in that home, but they have an option to purchase. So today, our hybrid investors, we're negotiating with our real estate partners who we have on our team that we know and like and trust that get to see, the blue ocean and understand who we are and what we do. Okay. Then they just write the contract for our hybrid investor for today at 400,000. Now,
When
our
that tenant moves in, here's what's really important. It's not the rent deposit, right? So typically you have a tenant that moves in. If the rent's $3,500, they're going to give you $3,500 for a deposit. Nope.
Mhm.
They're going to give you for an option for the opportunity to move into that house and have the right to purchase that house. They're going to give you at least 10%. So on that $400,000 house, that's $40,000. When that person moves in with a $40,000 option, it's not the same as someone moving in with a $3,500 deposit. They
Mhm.
truly feel ownership in this property. They want to maintain the property. They want to take care of the property. They are not destroying a property when they put up 40 grand.
And that's a minimum because you don't know. So minimum of 10%. We many of times have 15, 20, 30, 50, $100,000 is one we, Jennifer, that you have, right now that you did for a family, $100,000 down in Texas, and they've paid on time every single month, take care of the property. They've gone to the HOA meetings. I mean, this is their home. They put $100,000 down on a home that they chose, that a real estate agent actually put it under contract, and they got a full commission of their just like a regular sale. And then a hybrid investor came in, bought it for them. Understood their story, understood that we have professionals that do exactly what you would normally do to make sure they qualify. They just had a little bit of time that they needed. And
Yeah.
so now, just say that the hybrid investor, the Robbie the realtor, goes under contract for 400,000. Well, the option, so we have a lease with an option to buy. So that option is now 440.
Mhm.
So month after month on day one, you're getting cash flow for the hybrid investor who doesn't know real estate, He's at his W-2 job. She's at her W-2 job. And now she has an immediate cash flow because Jennifer, you picked up the phone and go, hey, I'm swimming in the blue ocean over here. And I have a family that has gone through da 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 and is really needing someone to come alongside of them and be able to be, stand in for them and be a partner. Well, I don't know about you, but that's impact investing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm about. So that's what you're about. So to make an impact in a family that had went through a divorce, did all the thing, and I will say I will protect her story, but it gets a lot deeper than that.
Yeah.
And that story that she shared, we want to protect that, but I'm so grateful that she's still here, right? She has overcame, and now she's coming on to the next season of her life. She's turning the page, and for someone to come alongside of her and be able to have immediate cash flow and a bump on the end. So now $400,000 is today's price. Well, if she waited to buy that property, right, it's going to be what, 3 to 5% higher potentially
Per year.
Yeah, per
Mhm.
year. So if you did the math and she just rented, right? What would she rent for? And well, she's not going to see a dime of that because she's got to sell the house. Well, if she can't buy, then she's got to go somewhere. She's got to live with family. She's got to rent. She's not getting a dime of that back, right? And so now she gets to pick out any home she wants to with a buyer who can buy. And then that buyer, that capital partner, that hybrid investor is what we call them, didn't ever have to see the property, didn't have to find the property, didn't have to rehab the property, had very low time and energy because Jennifer, you just picked up the phone and said, hey, I have one for you. It's a family. Here's the scenario. And you're going to make about 850 in a cash flow immediately and about $40,000 on the end. And by the way, we already have, they're already set up for their DSCR loan and 20% is what is required. But we have a tenant buyer that is going to be putting in 10%. So you're really going to get into a property with less than 20% down, with a tenant in place, with immediate cash flow, and we call it a slow flip with a bump on the end. And here's it all laid out for you because we've also have the mortgage loan analysis that is done by a professional that is going to keep in touch with the Betty buyer and make sure that they check in from time to time and say, hey, is there anything? So if credit is an issue, how are we going to increase the credit? If filing your taxes is an issue, who are we going to partner with to be able to just check in, make sure that you have everyone in your corner for success. Now, I know we're getting to we usually try to keep this 45 minutes or less. So we're getting to the end of that. But what we wanted to be able to do, and it's a lot, y'all, and you don't have to remember it all. Jennifer doesn't know how to do a mortgage.
No.
She doesn't have to. She partners with the right people in her community that love doing what they are doing. And she gets the opportunity to pass it along and help them, and she gets compensated. She gets to partner with real estate agents all over the country. All over the country, she gets to partner with real estate agents and families and be able to really make a difference. Now, sometimes this program is not a good fit for some states, and that's okay. We all have to make sure that it is in alignment, but there are other opportunities. Now, you can do residential in all 50 states. Yes, you can do all types of private money, hard money, and Jennifer, is able to do that as well. Jennifer she no longer does regular retail real estate. She doesn't open doors because this is a way that she can serve in a mighty way as an impact investor, and she gets to help real estate. Do you know most loan officers and real estate agents help everybody build wealth for themselves? And Jennifer, you reminded me of that, right? Because it's very transactional, right? You do the transaction, you're done. You start all over again. You do the transaction, you're done. You start all over again. But where is the passive income come in? Fast forward, you're retired, but you came back like most of us, entrepreneurs do. And this is your retirement. This is what you love to do. And to be able to help others to see that blue ocean that you swim in, right? and you get to help a lot of people make a great impact. And it's not for everybody, right? But if you care to know any more of what we're talking about, helping to be able to swim, in that blue ocean, helping other people to see what they can't see and to be able to have solutions, then we want to invite you. This is why you're here in this community, and we're going to come in and be able to share more. But we also want to hear from you. Like, what do you really want to know? And so that we can break that down. So, unbankable hybrid investing, it's not all we do, it's a really big part. REMLO, you'll hear us talk about REMLO. And so you're taking everything you're already doing and you're stacking that income. And the reason why you're doing that is so that you can invest in your future, you can invest in your family, you can invest in yourself, whether that be education, whether that be in a flip of your own, whether that be a hybrid investment, whether that be sober living or transitional housing or whatever. If it's just a vacation, maybe you want to go on the cruise with us the next time, and you want to pay somebody to be able to take care of your amazing business that you've built. So, is it a virtual assistant? Whatever that is for freedom for you, we want you to know that everything that you're doing right now, you have the ability to stack that income and not even have to do anything different. You just have to see with a different pair of lens, y'all. It's a blue ocean. 65% of families are not able to get a traditional mortgage. And that's, if that's the only thing that you can offer them, you're missing out on a lot of opportunities for you and your family, but also to serve other families. So, Jennifer, any final thoughts as we wrap up for today?
No, a lot of this is kind of like drinking from a fire hose and it's all at once. And, so breaking it down into components for you and what makes sense for your business to add, what makes sense to stack, right? Let's get your foundation really solid and then add some of those components. And we're happy to help with that. Like you said, come back on Wednesday afternoons. We'll send an invite out. We'll put it out there, but it's Ask Us Anything. Come in with some questions, come in with some live deals that we can help you walk through. I had a lender call yesterday and walked him through a whole scenario, and he's like, oh my gosh, totally makes sense. Why didn't I know that? Right. And we'll go
Right.
into one at a different time. But yeah, for sure.
And you say it a lot. I love it. You said it's like a buffet, right? If I went to Barn Hills, right, I can see everything on the buffet. That doesn't mean at that sitting that I'm going to eat every single thing on that buffet. Maybe I never am going to ever eat liver because I don't like liver. So don't ever pick up liver, right? And so there's nothing about what we've shared that I would say, like, a lot of people ask, is there any testing? No. Are there any fees that I have to pay up front or monthly fees that I have to continue or how many states? Because you already have enough if you're a real estate agent because it costs a lot to build your business, and if you already are a lender and you're just going, wait a minute, like how do I do this because I have to say no to a lot of my people? There's multiple layers this and multiple ways that we're not even sharing all the things on the buffet, and
Yeah.
so if you want to know, there's more, right? There's more, but if you want to know more, then we encourage you to ask us questions, show up. We're intentionally giving our time and energy so that you don't have to stay stuck. And if there's a question, don't feel silly asking the question because we were there too. And we're like, wait a minute, why did we not know this? 30 years of Jennifer in the business, 28 for me. And I'm the one that I was like, why did I not know this before now? Right. And so we have people in our circle that have been doing this for 40 years. You were with Lou last night, 40 plus years. And I'm sure that you're investing in yourself, and to be able to, I'm sure you learned something last night, cost
Mhm.
segregation, right? You learned a whole bunch, but that's what we're doing is we are going to learn a little and then to do a little, and then we're sharing that with our community. So again, lots of information here, but if you're a real estate agent, if you have a deal like Jennifer said and you can't place it or you have a family that you're trying to have a solution for, don't hesitate to show up on our calls or to reach out so that you have another solution for them and have an action plan because that's what they're looking to you for is they're coming to you as a professional to say, hey, how can you help me? And now that you have a new pair of lens today, right, then you can say, hey, I don't know, but I know who does. So I would like record yourself. Like, I don't know, but I know who does, who, not how, right? And so reach out to Jennifer, reach out to myself. We'd love to be able to brainstorm and come up with some solutions for you and your family. So that's a wrap for today, y'all. And we will commit for every single week that we're going to come in and do, is it a deal? It is a no deal. Well, you just heard us. We did income stocking numerous times on that one single transaction where that real estate agent said, hey, it's a no. And she just missed out on a whole bunch of opportunities. So we're going to go swim in some blue ocean, y'all. We're going to have a good time. And so we look forward to seeing you very soon. Bye, guys.